Yeah, coming into last week, a few of us had questions that South Carolina's offense was horrible. And all those questions were completely confirmed last week in scoring 10 points against a Kentucky team that hasn't stopped anyone, including New Mexico State, as the Gamecocks went down 17-10 in that one. On the flip side, we had questions about Texas A&M, some of them proven against UCLA and proven against better opponents as we go along. And now against Arkansas, we got to see that the Aggies could play against a physical football team and withstand a lot of third and short conversions by the Razorbacks. They really held themselves in the trenches. Trevor Knight didn't look good throwing the ball, but he was a running threat in that game. He's proved to be a leader. I think Kevin Sumlin was happy with the way he led the game, led the offense, not necessarily, again, throwing the football, but Texas A&M was the stronger team with more stamina in that game, in a close game through 3+ quarters and winning a big one against Arkansas. So we got South Carolina, Chad, taking on Texas A&M, and the Aggies are starting to answer some questions and show us that they might be the best program they've been under Kevin Sumlin since Johnny Manziel walked off campus.
Hey, and that's saying something because we haven't seen a lot of success since then. It's a different team. Let's just say that A&M's different. There's a lot more balance to it. Since Noel came in as the offensive coordinator, you're starting to see a lot more dedication to the run, and I think that's really helped out. Freshman Trayvon Williams has been phenomenal for them. He's a big guy, and of course Keith Ford comes in. He's the big bruiser running back that's been able to kind of move the pile, as it were, and kind of keep you honest. And then you got to throw in the wild card of Trevor Knight, a guy that can throw. Granted, if you get him rattled, if you get some pressure on him, he becomes inaccurate. He can make mistakes. He at times will read things a little too fast. Had a chance to talk with one of my friends that's a former Aggie quarterback, and we kind of jumped in and talked a little bit about that and what some of Trevor's deficiencies are. But one thing he can burn you is if you give him enough time and your linebackers give a misread on him, that guy will take off on you. And we saw that this last week. He's got the ability to run and get a first down or even more. So I think that's where you kind of see a lot of dynamic on that offensive side of the ball. Defensively, that defensive front, if they can stay healthy, that's going to be a nasty group. Not only that, the linebackers, I really like. They've got a lot of young linebackers, a lot of sophomores. Washington leads that group right now, and he's one of the elder statesmen, as it were, and he's still a young guy in and of himself. So they have got guys that are really good. You got to talk about Watts back there in the secondary. They will hit you and hit you hard, and I think that's something that South Carolina – look, they haven't lost games because of their defense. South Carolina hasn't. They've lost games because their offense is pitiful. They're averaging about 10 points right now a game. And Brandon McElwain, from everything I've understood, is going to be the starter this week. And I think that's really going to be tough for them is can they find a way to move the ball against this defense? This defense showed us, again, you should talk about last week, you talk about teams like UCLA that's going to spread it out and throw it on you. This defense has shown that they can play with these type of groups. And I think that's going to be a big key for A&M is can they shut this offense down, which I think they can. Williams-Brice Stadium is going to be a tough environment to play in, but this group right now showed me this last week on a neutral site where it was equally 50-50, both fan bases, where it was extremely loud in Dallas Cowboys Stadium, that they could do what they need to do on the road. One of the key matchups I want to watch personally is Josh Reynolds go up against that secondary of South Carolina. Josh Reynolds has had a heck of a season so far. I think he's had about 17 passes thrown his way for 370 yards. He's shown that he's becoming a bigger element for this group. And, of course, Christian Kirk is a guy that has been targeted a lot for A&M, a whole lot. You go back to that Arkansas game, and he missed way more targets than and he was actually one of Trevor Knight's favorite targets. So it'll be interesting to kind of watch those guys and see what they do. But it's a tale of two different teams right now at A&M than what we've seen in the past few years. Even from when Manziel was there, you're seeing a lot more dedication to the run, a lot more patience, as it were, and the defense has become a lot more physical. I've got A&M in this one big time.
Yeah, Mark, I think Chad hit on a couple of great points. One, the balance of that team. They're tough where they need to be. They're tough on the defensive line. Trevor Knight has some toughness at quarterback. They're tough on the back end. They're skilled where they need to be. The running backs are fast. The linebackers move laterally fast, and the receivers, I think, could be the best receiving core in the nation. So I like Texas A&M talent-wise and stat-wise. There's no reason Texas A&M shouldn't run away with this game. So here's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be looking at Texas A&M. They're looking at a top 10 matchup, possibly with Tennessee next week, a bye weekend, and then Alabama the weekend after that. So will Texas A&M go in, a program that had some locker room issues second half of last season and all off season? Will Texas A&M go into South Carolina after that big win against Arkansas, and will they take care of business? Will they go in, get a 3 or 4 touchdown lead early in the second quarter, and then just keep South Carolina out of that game? Will they demonstrate that they're a top 10 team that knows how to win on the road and take care of business, or will they go in lackluster and then kind of let South Carolina hang around and just come in and go through the paces? That's what they don't want to show. They want to show toughness, and they want to show the nation that they are really a top 10 team that can take care of business. So I'm going to be looking at Texas A&M and their mental approach to this game and see how they come out and see how they perform against a much weaker South Carolina team.
Yeah, I think what I'm seeing from this Aggies team is the biggest key to me is this run offense. While they brought Trevor Knight in, to be the leader of that offense and stuff, the biggest difference in this offense is how they run the ball. Rush for 231 yards against Auburn, and last week 366 against Arkansas. They were averaging over 8 yards per carry in their last 2 games. So with Trevor Knight, yes, his stats are not wowing anybody, but he's not turning the ball over. He's throwing for about over 225 a game right now. But his rushing yards last week, that was with the quarterback runs and the running back runs with the big difference. So going into South Carolina, how desperate is South Carolina after losing to Kentucky last week? They are +6 in turnover margin right now over the last 2 games with no turnovers themselves. So, Muschamp has the defense playing well as far as creating turnovers, but teams are still driving the field down on them. And I don't. A&M has had a little bugaboo this season, in the red zone. So, if they can score in the red zone in Columbia, I don't think there's much of a problem A&M will have. But as good as that defense has been for A&M, they've given up a ton of first downs, given up some ton of yardage, just not a lot of points. So if South Carolina can find a way to own time of possession, that can be a way for them to stay in this game. But the way A&M's handled diversity with UCLA and Arkansas, I have to they're showing me they're better in tough situations. Starting with Trevion Williams at running back, they'll hit a few big plays and put this game away pretty much by halftime.